5 rare things lost to history that were recently found. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Insane Worlds. 5. The Stone of Destiny Anomalies. Since the 13th century, Scottish kings have sat on the Stone of Destiny during their coronations. The carved seat is still used in coronation ceremonies, but only for United Kingdom monarchs. Researchers recently scanned the large rectangular block and were surprised to notice hidden symbols and anomalies that no one had noticed before. The 800-year-old slab had mysterious markings that resembled Roman numerals or crudely drawn crosses, which might have been etched into the surface after the stone left Scotland for England in 1296. But weirder were the remnants of plaster and a copper alloy stain. The latter was caused by a copper or brass object that was left standing on the stone for years, perhaps a religious object like a bell. The traces of plaster also suggested that someone once made a plaster cast of the stone. Curiously, there's no record of a cast being made of the rock, nor what the metal object might have been. 4. The roots of British comedy. In medieval England, the Wars of the Roses brought misery to many, but one minstrel was cracking jokes near the Derbyshire-Nottinghamshire border and people loved it. While his name is lost to time, just the fact that researchers know he existed is a feat in itself. Real-life accounts of medieval bards are extremely rare. Nobody would have known about him had it not been for 2 people. During the 15th century, a fan called Richard Hege created a book based on the bard's own performance notes. This book later became known as the Hege Manuscript, but its comedic value was overlooked because experts only studied how the book was made. The book languished at the National Library of Scotland when it was accidentally rediscovered by Dr. James Wade. He realized that the manuscript was more than just an old book. It was a unique record of live comedy shows in medieval England that not only preserved the work of a brilliant minstrel, but also echoed the slapstick comedy, self-irony, and poking fun at audiences that are so characteristic of British stand-up comedy today. 3. Never-before-seen Bible chapter. For years, an old Bible in the Vatican seemed just, well, old. But historian Gregory Kessel noticed that the book was a palimpsest, or a manuscript that had been scrubbed of words by ancient writers to reuse. Curious about what might have been erased, he used ultraviolet light to scan the pages. In 2023, he released his findings. Underneath 3 layers of words slept a chapter of the Bible that hadn't been seen in over 1,500 years. The text was written in Syriac and described chapter 12 in the book of Matthew. Interestingly, it gave researchers a unique glimpse into the Bible's textual evolution when it revealed that the earliest phases of the Bible were slightly different from modern versions. For example, a common phrase today comes from the original Greek version of Matthew 12:1 and says, "At that time Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, and his disciples became hungry and began to pick the heads of grain and eat." The newly discovered Syriac passage reads, "began to pick the heads of grain, rub them in their hands and eat them." 2. A masterpiece in the forest. Some things are hidden not because they're lost, but because it's necessary for their survival. This was the case for a painting called Dance on the Beach. It was created in 1906 by Edvard Munch, the artist behind the infamous The Scream. In 1940, Dance on the Beach was owned by the Olsen family of Norway when the Germans invaded the country. Since Munch was on the Germans' list of degenerate artists, they knew the painting would be destroyed if it ever fell into enemy hands. The Olsens, who were also neighbors of Munch, decided to save the massive 13-foot, 4-meter-long artwork. They headed deep into a Norwegian forest and tucked it away in a barn along with other Munch works, including an early version of The Scream. There, the monumental painting waited out World War II. The world became aware of the extraordinary tale when the 115-year-old artwork came out of hiding and hit Sotheby's auction block in March 2023. The expressionist masterpiece was sold for over $20 million. 1. A legendary lost city. According to an old German legend, there was once a great city called Rungholt, but the inhabitants were so privileged that they became sinful. One day, a group of drunken men tried to force a priest to perform sacred rites on a pig, and the cleric decided enough was enough. He prayed and asked God to punish the people, and shortly afterward, a deadly storm swept the city into the North Sea. Many questioned whether Rungholt ever existed, but in 2023, researchers revealed that the legendary city had been found submerged in the Wadden Sea. A geological survey found medieval mounds that ran for nearly 1.2 miles, 1.9 kilometers, around an island called Sudfall. Under the mudflats were the remains of a large church, drainage systems, a harbor, and a 700-year-old skull of a Rungholt resident. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.